or even on frightened politicians. You see, they also are watching the vote, especially at this time. But we need to speak truth to power. We need to get that conversation going. The current political turbulence over healthcare in our society cannot be separated from these specific issues, that people are living longer, that people are now better educated and are not so blindly committed to religious views that they know are no longer believable, that proper structures can be established in our society to allow people their choice, their autonomy in deciding how they will live and when they will die. That where the person is unable to express their own decision, arrangements can be made in a proper context for a rational decision to be made for them. That a humane society will be open to ensure that the values of compassion and moral wisdom will take precedence over futile suffering and emptiness of those who wish to bring their life and suffering to an end. That whereas human dignity is difficult to define, our human rights regarding the way we live or die, those human rights are very important. The human rights of every individual has to be put alongside of the wider human rights of society, but they need to be in conversation rather than in an oppositional fashion. Here in all this, we're trying to raise a fundamental concern, a humanitarian concern, a social concern, a church and liberated Christian concern. We know this. We know this. Every day, people in this city take their lives. In 1 year, the number of people taking their life amounts to several thousand people in this city. A large percentage of those people could have been, their suicide could have been prevented. And we would hazard, on the basis of those that we have been able to prevent, that a productive, enjoyable life may have been possible, but it was sadly ended, their life was sadly ended too soon. We also know this, that in the face of those figures of people committing suicide, rarely, if ever, do we hear anything from the churches about that. All those suicides take place without comment. Even the governments avoid this discussion. Yet when we come to a rational, thoughtful resolution of one individual who says enough is enough, we have people ready to oppose their basic right, their dying process. So we look now for a more enlightened process to become more widely accepted as a thoughtful, compassionate way to meet and manage the inevitable anxieties of our living and dying. But that can only come, I believe, as we more and more enter the conversation. Rather than saying, look, we don't want to talk about our death and dying. Come on. Dying is a part of our living. And we all need to be part of this conversation more and more so that we can reach a more compassionate way, a more rational way to deal with the anxieties of our living and dying. I hope that might be one further part of this conversation. Would you please stand?